Brandon, we've
Yep.
stumbled on to an actual agenda for all of our shows. We start off with our cold opening, then we do like what we're geeking on, then we do stupid news, and then we do our whatever, if it's going to be like we're going to fix something or if we have conspiracy. We after this is 78, 79, after 70
right.
some 70 some umpty squat episodes, we finally have a fucking format for our show.
You know,
How does that make you feel? How does that make you feel, Brandon?
it's that old podcasting chestnut. After 79, you'll hit your stride and figure out what you're doing. So I'm not surprised. And if you don't mind me, I'm going to just take a step back and just take a little stretch and a bend because I think I earned it.
I have some camera news, Brandon Chalmers.
Holy shit!
Yes.
Wait, hang on. Jamie Noguchi
Yeah.
coming in from Sky High Chopper 5.
Sky
Jamie
High.
Noguchi with the hot camera chat. Jamie Noguchi, man on the street, man in the field, man in my heart, man in between the sheets. Jamie Noguchi, tell me about that hot camera talk.
So you know how we've been talking about how Sony and Canon and Panasonic have come out with software for their cameras to interface them with your computer like a webcam?
Ad nauseum. Yes.
I found out why Olympus ain't doing it. I found out why. I found out why, Brandon. I found out why.
Okay. Yeah. They're going out of business.
Well, they are selling their camera division to a liquidation company.
Oh.
So there's a. Are you familiar with the Sony Vaio brand?
Yes. Yeah.
So when Sony was trying to make computers, they were wildly successful.
No.
So they sold off that branch of their business to a Japanese firm,
Right.
and that firm continued to sell Vios under the name Vio, just selling cheap ass parts and shit computers that just kind of shat all over the brand. The company that took over for Sony Vaio is the same company that Olympus is selling their interchangeable camera division to. So the speculation, there are a couple of people who are of a couple of minds of it, that they're going for a quick sale and they're going to sell it off to another company, like maybe they're going to consolidate with Panasonic. Good money is that they're just going to run it into the ground and Olympus is going to be no more.
God damn it.
So a while ago, I remember I saw a report that said that Micro Four Thirds is dead. I don't know if it's dead, but one of their major players is definitely going out to pasture, and they might be taking it out to the barn. Now, what I don't know is
putting two in the back of his head. All right.
Yeah. Now, what I don't know is what this means for lens prices, because if there are a bunch of companies, if there are a bunch of camera stores that are trying to, pump and dump all their Olympus stock, you may be able to get your dream lens for a good discount.
Jamie, here's the problem. Now here's a couple problems. One, my dream lens retails at $1,300. Two, knowing that and knowing where they're probably going to end up makes me question whether or not I should be looking into unloading my camera.
Oh.
Well, because I mean, reality is, it's cool and everything, but what's the best way to put this? One of my favorite cars that I ever owned was a Saab. Now, if anybody knows anything about Saab, they're weird and they're quirky, and they're relatively well made, and they were handed off to a lot of different owners.
Yeah,
like Saab stopped making like just cars as Saab in the 80s, and the one that I had was a 95.
Oh,
And
nice.
at that point, Saab was owned by General Motors. Before that, they were owned by Ford. And essentially what would happen is Saab would be like, well, we want to make a car that if something bad happens, like a rollover, people won't die. And GM's like, okay, but we want you to share a platform with our existing sedans or our existing hatchbacks and build off of this to save money. And Saab's like, okay, fam. So what Saab did was take all that, then cut half of it off, spend twice as much to make it stronger to meet Saab's standards, and then sell it for relatively the same price, basically negating all the profit that GM would end up making with it.
Ugh.
Also, they didn't sell that well.
Yeah.
So, is this cool? Yeah. Is it real good looking and everything? Yeah, it's a fucking sexy camera.
Yeah.
However,
I've been eyeing the Pen F, which is like the top of the line. You remember the little EP5 that I used to have?
yeah.
They make a sexy version of that, and I've been eyeing that one, and I was like, oh, maybe the
Of
version
course they
2
do.
is going to come
See,
out. The version 2 is not going to come out anymore.
Now, here's the thing, Jamie. When I owned my Saab was old, and my Saab needed a lot of parts. And I did some nefarious shit to be able to get those deep discount parts. Okay? Now, this was like right after high school, so I graduated in 2002. This would have been probably 2005, maybe. Right? Saab, still a strong existing company, has dealerships all over. The only place really at the time that you could buy parts for a Saab was from a Saab dealership.
Ooh.
Now, locally, there was only one Saab dealership. So, Saab set the price. I was basically, much like Apple, paying the Saab tax.
Oh, no.
I went and I picked a gas station that was near my house that had a garage attached to it that no one was working out of. And I took the name of that gas station garage, and I would call them as if I was the mechanic from that garage and tell them that the customer is cheap and I want to be able to pay cash. And I would use their name to go up and pick up parts on discount just for my Saab so that I could fix my car in front of my dad's house at a discount. Because I ended up having something that was pretty, but ultimately way too expensive for its own good. And had to find nefarious workarounds to pay the same price that if I actually had bought a GM, I would have ended up paying for.
Yeah.
But fuck you guys, a fuel filter should not cost $700. Sorry, fuel pump, but god damn it, shouldn't cost that much. Like I shouldn't have to. Jamie, you understand I had to rip the back seats out, right? And be able to fucking no, not that way. No, I want to put them back, goddamn. I need the car. You understand? I bought this car fucking nefariously in the first place where I only paid $100 for the car, right? Like, you gotta understand, Jamie. I gotta make this shit last. All right,
man, that's why I got my EP5 for like $80 from fucking Thailand. Go on eBay.
See, but I'm sketchy that way, but also I don't trust the internet. So I refuse to then buy something off the internet from Thailand direct unless I can unless it's a reputable dealer that just says, hey, we have a distribution warehouse out of Thailand. It's going to ship out of Thailand. And I'm like, okay, cool, no problem.
Yeah.
But
it was just a dude.
Hop on some of these camera websites. Yeah, or God forbid, eBay. Like, I don't trust a guy in Iowa to be legit. I trust people even less when the freight is reasonably going to take 14 days.
Yeah.
To do the right, I don't know. What? Hey, John eBay. So Steve over in Thailand, right? Yeah, Steve over in Thailand motherfucked me on this camera lens. Now, I definitely paid a discounted rate. Now I know retail is $1,300, but I managed on the DL, right? Slid in those DMs and got it for a hot $750 US, right? Sent that over to him. I haven't got my lens. He's like, it's on a boat. I don't know because he refuses to tell me exactly what the tracking is because it's on a boat. So I don't know if it's ever going to come or maybe it's just always going to be on a boat. So I don't know what to do, Jamie. But in turn, I think what I'm learning is I'm having a bit of flashbacks, and I'm going, this is cool. I should just use this for what it is, and then ultimately there'll be some camera nerd who will be like, I absolutely love Olympus cameras. Your Micro Four Thirds was the future. And hopefully I can offload it in like the next year so that it doesn't become the next fucking micro disc.
Let's see. What are you have the EM10
EM10 2.
EM10 to 10.
Yeah, I don't have the nice one.
Mark II. What are they going for on eBay? B&H has one for used for like $250.
Okay, so literally half of what I paid for it.
New they're going for $500.
Right. So retail price hasn't gone down at all yet, which is nice.
Used on eBay, it's like $300. So you're looking to get like $300 for your body.
Reasonably, what I think. Yeah, reasonably, what I think is going to end up happening is I will probably go to one of the only like freestanding camera stores, and I will go in there with that, use it as a trade-in, and try and buy something actually nice, and just accept my losses.
Yeah.
And just go, you know what? Okay. Nothing I can do about it. It's very cool. It operates fine, but I think I'm going to go with a more well-known brand that I don't think is going anywhere, like Sony. Well, I trust that Sony's going to stick around. Well,
I mean, you're pretty nice to your camera. Like you don't sling it around, you don't kick it around. So
no,
I think
it's not that it's in poor. Yeah, it's not that it's in poor shape or anything else like that. It's just a question of like, do I want to have something that will be in a defunct company?
Yeah, I see that.
Like that's the question is like, at what point does, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Because my other concern is that Micro Four Thirds will actually go the way of the Dodo, and then the lenses will become finite, and then the price will skyrocket instead of fall.
I don't know, because there are a bunch of I collect. I've picked up a handful of vintage lenses for like 50, 30, $40, and these at the time these old mechanical like Russian made lenses were top of the line at some point. But since the switch to DSLR, the desire for a lot of these mechanical lenses has just plummeted. Like no one gives a shit, and they don't make them anymore. And so like and they have weird characteristics. Like there's a couple of lenses that I have that like if you get the right distance and the right background, you get the swirly bokeh thing. So it looks like the person is in a time warp and shit like that.
I know. Reasonably, Jamie, here's what's going to happen. I'll end up doing the dumb thing, which is once I end up finally getting back to work, I'll treat myself for something really unnecessarily nice, which means I'll go in, I'll buy that lens used, spend more on that lens than I did on the actual camera body, and then go down this rabbit hole again, and then eventually, hopefully, find a used version of the nicer version of my Olympus camera and just stick with Micro Four Thirds for a while until I decide to actually upgrade.
I think, yeah, I mean, I'm interested.
It's a question of like, am I putting good money after bad? Because if I spend, let's say, $800 or $900 on the lens, right?
Yeah.
And then, year or two down the road, I trade in that Olympus body for $150 maybe or something like that on trade-in.
Yeah.
Spend an additional $400 on a used upgraded version of that. I'm now, I'm at like $1,500 plus that. I'm at like $2,000 out of pocket just for that lens, that body, and the other body, not counting all the other lenses that I have. So like, I think it's a question of like, am I in too deep to Micro Four Thirds now to pull the chute and be like, all right, I'm out.
So you like that 50 mil length.
The one that I have right now, it's a 25 millimeter, so Micro Four Thirds equivalent nifty 50.
Yeah.
Which is this one, which is like my go-to lens with its little thing. And this is a Lumix G. Blah 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 blah. Yeah. 0.25. And it's just a fixed lens, and it's gorgeous. If anyone's curious, Panasonic model H025. You can hop on Amazon or B&H and all sorts of stuff like that, and you can pick them up on the cheap all day, every day, sub $100.
Yeah.
And it is my favorite lens. It's fixed. It forces me to get up off my ass and really get moving, but it snaps great photos every time. It's my favorite street photography lens because it makes me work for it, and I don't have to think about it. It's just focus and hit, focus and hit, focus and hit, just all day long. Yeah, just all day long. So I don't have to like play around with it so much. And if I want to play with the manual focus, I can. I've got my focus set up that way where it'll like I can switch it up like any other camera. But if I want to just take quick pop photos, I can do so all day long. What I'd like to have would be that long distance job so that I can do that at a distance. So this way I don't have to get up on everybody and I can really take proper like street photography things.
See, that's the thing about the Micro Four Thirds system is that those telephotos, any other system, they're going to be way more expensive. Like if you
I know that.
Yeah, if you switch to the Sony lenses, they're a lot more expensive, like a G Master or any like even some of the weird manual ones that they sell. Fuji's the same problem, like the lenses are going to be more expensive. So like if you stick with Micro Four Thirds, like that 70 to 200 that I was walking around the mall that one time with,
right,
that was like, those are normally like 12K plus, and I picked that one up for like 3 used from Japan. So like I think honestly I think you're gonna get more bang for your buck if you stick with the system.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking is just like until I start taking it more seriously, I need to just accept that the system that I got is good. Yeah. I got it for the same reasons that I wanted it for in the first place. I wanted the small body size. I wanted the lighter weight. I didn't want to have to be hauling around these huge body cameras. Yeah. And I think if I can get the relatively the same capability in a much smaller package, you know, we'll see. But
Sony or Fuji would be similar in terms of small bodies because Sony has all those small ass bodies and stuff. Yeah. The lenses get a little bit crazy, but you know, and then the Fujifilm ones, they are all APS-C, so it's always a crop sensor for the Fujifilms. And apparently their autofocus is really good and their video capability is really good. So you could use a Fuji for your webcam.
Well, thank goodness I was worried.
Yeah. But I know you don't give a shit about video, so
at this point now, no. So
I mean I would stick with it just because of the variety of weird lenses that you can find that you can adapt to it. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know.
No, I get it. Anyhoozle.
So Brandon, hit me with the welcome.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome one and all to the fucking Do It Cast. I am one of your hosts, the honorable former referee of Super Art Fight, Brandon Chalmers, and with me today, my co-host with the Mo-host. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him, you love him. He is the reason you are here as you are finding him on his YouTube channel. You know him from his rage on Twitter. You know him from his Instagram posts. You know him from his fucked up drawings. He is the one, the only, the angry Zen master, Jamie motherfucking Noguchi.
Woo! Welcome one and all. We are part of the Hard Knock Media Podcasting Network. That's NOC as a Nerds of Color. Go to hardknockmedia.com to find all the other wonderful podcasts in the network that talk about ethnicity and culture and the importance of representation. And then we're at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah. We are, if you take the Coke and Pepsi challenge, we're tab. We're not even the same.
Hey. We are RC.
We
sir.
are RC. We are RC Cola.
Yeah, we got a niche market, and people will defend us to the hilt. We're way too sweet for our own good. But we're hanging in here. All right.
We're there. We're there. We got that caffeine.
Yeah.
We'll kick it up.
Yeah.
So, Brandon Chalmers, what have you been geeking upon in this, whenever we are recording this, because every day is much like any other fucking day. I don't even remember what the fuck day it is, man.
I know. Oh, man. The days, they are pulling together. So, Jamie, I decided to start cracking open something that you got me forever ago. I swear it may be 6 years ago as a birthday gift. I decided to start putting together a Gundam model, right? I've got two of them sitting here. So the one that I have not put together is I make a huge mess on the table next to me is this behemoth.
Oh, yeah. Big gun.
Yeah, big gun. So, that...
Hazel, you gotta go to bed, sweetie. Hazel, I'm recording.
You're recording and calling it.
Yeah, I'm recording. You can't get up here because my seat is too high, so we don't have the problem of naked kids on TV. Get back into bed.
That's lovely.
Get back into bed and close the door, sweetie. Please close the door. Goofball.
Anyway. So
giant Gundam with a giant gun.
I'm not building that one. Yeah, I am not building that one yet. That is the one that will happen afterward. The other one is upstairs. But so basically, I decided okay, I need something to kind of do while I'm watching TV, killing time in between loads of laundry or dishes or what have you, and just kind of a sanity check project where it's yep, it can be all contained in a box. And, it's the simple snap together ones. I'm not getting into all the painting and everything else like that. I don't have the patience for all that stuff. But what I did stumble into while I was doing this, right, is I went down a YouTube rabbit hole.
Oh, boy.
Some of you may know. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So as some of you may know, I am a big fan of pro wrestling, as well as a big fan of strongman competitions. So I'm a huge fan of it. I watch a lot of the YouTube content that a lot of these people put out, and I came across a video from former WWE superstar Rusev, not on his channel, but on a channel called Dr. Bo Hightower. And what Dr. Bo does is he does chiropractic adjustments. Yeah, using hammers. Yes, literally taking cane pieces or metal chisels and taking framing hammers and adjusting your bones back in after he's done the neck pops and the whole nine. And the dude's pretty thick, but he is, and he's got this whole thing where he looks for knots in muscle tendon and will basically squeeze and force them out. And he does not give a fuck about your pain. That is essentially, I can't imagine what the release form is that he gets to record these top tier athletes, MMA fighters, strongmen, former WWE superstars, current WWE superstars, as his wife Lana was also part of a different video, where he basically just beats on you and then squeezes the pain out of you, and you do your best not to curse and ruin his explicit content tab.
So I didn't realize Rusev got released. He was in that.
He did. He was in that whole thing, but to my understanding, he let that happen. They bought out his contract. Rusev has been doing Twitch streaming nonstop. Dude went full gamer. And to the best of my understanding, has not taken an interest in wrestling again. I don't know if he's waiting for the pandemic to end and then he'll come out of it on the other end. But yeah, dude just been Twitch streaming.
That's cool.
Yeah, Instagram live, Twitch streaming, just basically hanging out, put on his YouTube channel, and has been basically just doing the social media thing, kind of nonstop.
Hell, that's awesome.
Yeah, I know.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Just digging into it.
I would love to see him with a crossover with the Up Down Down guys, and then Bang. What's his name?
Kenny Omega.
Kenny Omega. like big like video game crossover when conventions happen again, because they did a whole thing. I think they did a whole thing with the Young Bucks and Omega and
at PAX, I believe.
At PAX, yeah. Austin
Yeah.
Creed came out and they did a whole thing. I would love to see Rusev get into the mix in that, and that would be hysterical.
I 100% can see something like that happen in the future, but Jamie, what I was geeking out about was as I was watching, like as I was building Gundam models, I was also watching him watching this doctor basically torture the shit out of pro athletes and hearing him take guys like professional strongman Robert Oberos, who is 6'7", 415, and watching him basically take hammer and chisel to the back of his neck and just suddenly give him all this mobility and then like popping and shuffling and moving things around, all sorts of stuff. Yeah. Oh yeah. And watching this guy just basically like at one point with a different superstar, Bobby Lashley, basically like stand on a table, basically wrap this guy's shoulder up, lift, and you just hear the whole thing just go cronk and just basically move. And all of a sudden, Bobby just goes, I can move my arm again. It was like, what the fuck?
Oh, Bobby.
Right. Yeah. And there it is. That's what kept me watching, because I'm like, God damn it. All of these athletes take so much punishment.
Yeah.
And basically the guy's like, well, you start to put on this much muscle. He's like, and your bones start to shift the way they move to compensate for the muscle. And then injuries just start to heal over. He's like, and you end up getting like all this tissue that's messed up. And bear in mind, I am very skeptical of chiropractic medicine. Because I've seen it where it gets downright dangerous, where people are like taking, kids 3-4 years old to get adjustments. And I'm like, fuck all of that. But I'm firmly of the mind that, like, if you can go to a chiropractor as someone in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and on, and basically go there once every few months, get an adjustment, have some exercises taught to you to try and keep your stuff straightened out, rock and roll. I don't even care if it's a placebo effect. Good on you. Like, makes me feel better. I'm good with it. Hand me the sugar pill. Let me go to work. I'm good. So, yeah, watching this totally set me down like what I can only describe as a 50 Shades of Grey torture porn style sort of thing, where I just hear pro athletes explain their injuries, and then this guy basically like just start pinching things and hearing them just shout motherfucker and all sorts of, yeah. So,
damn you.
Yeah, so if anyone's interested, by the way, I have no tolerance for anything like a Dr. Pimple Popper. So, but I'm aware of how hypocritical it is that I can watch hours of Dr. Bo Hightower just popping the crap out of people. Hey, Seuss.
Oh,
but I can't actually get down with the Pimple Popper. My boy is a little needy right now.
Welcome in the third chair, Seuss. Seuss Chalmers.
Yeah. So.
That's great.
Anyhoozle, so Jay Minaguchi, what have you been geeking out about this week?
So this is going to be a long rant. I can't help it because Jesus Christ, motherfucker. Goddamn. So, Adobe, a couple weeks ago, new version of Adobe, they release new versions because that's part of their subscription thing. And I hate Adobe, but I subscribe because of work. Like, I do comics, but I also do a lot of motion graphics, and motion graphics requires me to be able to share files with the editors and like I need access to Typekit because sometimes clients give you, their style guides, and they have fonts listed, but they don't give you that font. So Typekit has access to all of these fonts. I can just look it up. 9 times out of 10, there's a version of it on Typekit that I can use. So I hate Adobe, but I have to subscribe to Adobe. I used Photoshop for drawing. I've been using it for drawing for years and 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 years. And I feel like I'm fighting with it always. But I haven't done anything about it. Like, I use Procreate on the iPad, but I hate Procreate on the iPad because the way it inks is kind of loopy and weird. They're just so, I've been just Photoshop. I should have switched to Clip Paint. Clip Studio Paint years ago. I used to use it when it was called Manga Studio, years when I was still doing my webcomic. And then I switched back to Photoshop just because I got a set of brushes and they look cool, and I saw another artist that I enjoyed and they used that. So I've been using Photoshop for a while now. New version of Adobe Suite comes in, and they've changed the way they do their icons. Now, this is not a big deal. I want to stress that this is not a big deal. In the middle of a goddamn pandemic, in the middle of a time in our lives when the cops are so racist that even during a pandemic, they find ways to kill unarmed black people, what I am going to complain about is bullshit. Like, I fully recognize that I'm coming from a place of privilege to have these complaints about a system that I use every fucking day. But for whatever reason, this new icon system is horseshit. They've grouped. So you look at the icons of like Photoshop, Illustrator, After Effects, Premiere. They were all different colors. I know exactly which one to go. They're on my dock. I know by color, by site. I can go click, open up After Effects, click, open up Premiere, click, open up Photoshop, click, open up Illustrator. Good to go. Bam, bam, bam. I'm ready to go.
Right.
The Galaxy brains over at Adobe decided to consolidate their apps by discipline. So all the video apps have the same color scheme. All of the photo apps have the same color scheme. All of the apps to design stuff all have the same color scheme. So instead of different colors for After Effects and Premiere, they are all the same color. And the only way you can tell the difference is the letters.
But when they're small like that, aren't they a little hard to pick up on sometimes?
Oh! So I have wasted 10 minutes of my day, which again, is nothing to complain about. 10 minutes of inconvenience is not a big fucking deal. But when you're on a deadline, those 10 minutes I could be using to do stuff with and get shit done quickly and efficiently. So I've been clicking on, I've spent time opening Premiere when I wanted After Effects and After Effects when I wanted Premiere, and just fucking up my day. And for whatever reason, it was this that convinced me that Adobe doesn't give a shit about regular users.
Well, you should have remembered that when they went to the monthly service and did away with the ability to use the older versions of the software.
So I agree with you. However, there are studio reasons that the subscription model works better, because if a studio needs, if it's crunch time and they need to hire on new people instead of buying new seats, they do that. No, so like I could justify I could justify it, but
I get that. Yeah. You're not a studio. Yeah. And if you want to offer two different versions, a small business owner version or an artist creation version, and then a Premiere license for multiple users, you could do so.
Yeah.
But because of the way things are done, because that's how software had worked for years, decades in the past, so it hadn't been a problem. But now that they're realizing that we can do this whole thing where it's like, well, no, we'll make it a subscription-based service. We can make it cloud-based. We can do Office 365 pulled the same bullshit.
Yeah. ZBrush, Pixelogic, ZBrush, the other piece of software that I use all the time, is a much better model. You buy it once, you get all the updates you need. They also have a subscription model, so if you do have a studio and you need to add seats just because they have a subscription, so they have both options. I love Pixelogic. I love Pixelogic. I will, if I ever get to the point where I can become an evangelist for Pixelogic and ZBrush, I will do that on the regular. I will do that for free because I fucking love them.
Right. But that's the thing though, is if there are updates or whatever it is, that's fine. But at a certain point they can go, hey, look guys, this is a pretty big update. We're going to offer a new one. If you want to upgrade to the new version for these features or whatever it is, we know the software costs you, I don't know, $200 brand new, whatever it is, whatever the number is.
Version
We're going to charge you. We're going to charge you, let's say, $35 for this update that's going to have these following things. If you want to opt into it,
instant.
When and just require it, and then once you get like 3 versions up or whatever it is, you basically bundle them together and you say, hey, this version at this price costs this much. And if you want it now, okay, you pay it now. And if you want it later, you pay it later and what have you. Like,
yeah.
But ultimately, that's the idea, is the people who are going to want the new stuff are going to pay for the new stuff. Don't make it exorbitant and people will fucking buy it.
Yeah.
You don't need to cash grab and dig into everybody. And also, fuck Adobe for their predatory ass ads, because they tried that bullshit where they're like, oh, hey, you can get the Premiere Studio or whatever it is, and you can get all of the, access to all the subscription base, yada, 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 at a discounted rate for the first 3 months or whatever it is. They don't tell you in the fine print that they require you to sign up for a year up front and pay for the whole thing up front.
Yeah, it's bad. And
so during a pandemic, thank goodness they're so helpful to small business owners that they want to charge you something like $500 for software at a discount.
And
fuck off with your shit.
I should have known better. And I guess it's been inertia, but when these stupid icons came out, and I don't know what the fuck it was about them, but I was like, this is impeding my workflow. It is making using your products a horrible experience. Also, fix Media Encoder. I have never been able to launch Media Encoder on the first try and have it work ever. I always have to open it like 5 more fucking times. And if you see me on Twitter, I've when I'm about to use Media Encoder, because I will say, is this the day that Media Encoder is going to encode my goddamn motherfucking media? The answer is no. Today is not that day. And I don't know if it's an Adobe problem or if it's a Mac problem, because Apple can go fuck itself as well. Like, I'm pissed about everything. So,
by the way, I guarantee you there are probably a lot of artists who watch your shit who are like, fucking preach, fucking preach.
So I said, fuck you, I'm going to get Clip Studio Paint. And I got Clip Studio. I paid for the X one because I wanted to try the animation, which is like twice as much as the regular one. It was on sale because they were doing they always have their summer sale thing going on. Like,
awesome.
If you want to get into drawing comics, get Clip Studio. Wait for the sale, because the regular version is like $25. You can afford $25. If you're a beginner, you can afford $25. You can afford $25. I also got it. I also got it for the iPad because I want to support a business that appreciates what artists are going through on a day-to-day motherfucking basis. So I bought Clip Studio, and for the past week or so, I've been running the rounds doing some practice illustration sketches to just kind of familiarize myself with the program, like how the pencils work, how the inking works, how the brushes work, how the paint works and stuff. A friend of mine a long time ago asked me if I could draw her some weird shit, like Slave Leia, but instead of Leia, it's Sonic. And she wanted to have boobs and butt out. So I was like, yeah, sure. I finally had an excuse to do this. So I was like, okay, I'll draw this for you just to see that. And she came up with some other crazy ideas, like Dr. Robotnik as Jabba the Hutt, and Pikachu as Xena Warrior Princess, and
which was awesome.
Yoshi as CJ from Baywatch.
Yes.
So yeah, I've been messing around, and I'm kicking myself because there are things that Photoshop does better, certainly, and but the problem is Photoshop does everything. And so by doing everything, there are very specific, small, glitchy things that it doesn't do well. Look, they had to hire an independent contractor to make brushes for them because the people who made the program couldn't figure out how to make brushes that were useful for artists. So they hired Kyle Webster on staff just so they could have him there to like. I'm so fucking pissed at Adobe.
So what you're saying is that Photoshop is a jack of all trades, master of none?
I'm still probably going to be coloring book 2 in Photoshop just because I'm much faster in coloring, like comic coloring. Like that's never been a problem for me. The problem is when it comes to inking and layouts, and like there are no rulers in Photoshop. Clip Studio has perspective rulers. Clip Studio has French curves. Clip Studio has all these other different funky curves and stuff that you can do all these layouts and shit. Like Clips is terrible at text, so that's a big ding. So if you're doing your comic in Clip Studio, just know the text is going to look like shit. But there's a lot of other great stuff that Clip can do that Photoshop doesn't care about. Photoshop doesn't give a shit about, because Photoshop is about photos. And if you want to edit your photos in Photoshop, congratulations, you are using the program properly. If you want to draw things in Photoshop,
Wait,
what are you doing?
Why wouldn't you be wait, hang on. Why wouldn't you be editing your photos in Lightroom?
You can edit them in Lightroom too. Lightroom is like the easy version. Photoshop is the advanced version of photo editing.
Oh. Okay, whatever. Fuck off with your like. You know what? Like,
no, it's because that's the way they think about Photoshop. That is the way they think about Photoshop. Because if they thought about Photoshop as an artist tool, there would be tools within Photoshop that I wouldn't have to go and buy third-party bullshit. Like, in order to get a perspective ruler, I had to buy this weird fucking thing that like works. I don't know. So if Photoshop was a digital painting tool, it would act like a digital painting tool instead of a trundled up fucking photo editing thing that is more powerful than Lightroom, but also less useful than Lightroom, because Lightroom just does it. Like, you can save your presets, you can save your settings, you can apply all of that to a whole batch of photos. To do that in Photoshop, you have to record all of your actions and then sync it to a thing, and then bring in your photo and hit that action and hope that it works and pray that it works. So they need to split it off. If they're considering Photoshop to be an art tool, they need to make a separate standalone fucking art tool and actually talk to fucking artists that use their shit on a daily goddamn motherfucking basis. So yeah.
So
I have
every
opinions.
every time that you start tweeting about Adobe, you are adding Adobe, right?
I have.
You really should, just every time. Like, either until they block you or until they respond. Like, one or the other.
What I don't understand, and what I don't understand, and maybe it's because of the hardware that I'm using, because I'm using a MacBook Pro from like 2015, and so like maybe Adobe Suite is supposed to be optimized for like the latest and greatest. But motherfucker, I have Clip Studio Paint on a computer that's 5 years old, and it does everything that I want it to. The gouache brush works like gouache. I have perspective rulers. I have circles that work. I have patterns. I've got like 3D mannequins that I can stick in and trace over. Just motherfucker. Oh, and get this. The iPad version is the same version as the desktop version. It's not like Photoshop for iPad where there are no filters, there's no blur tool, there's no smudge tool. It's not like Fresco where it's like, oh, we're making our own drawing tool that has fewer features than fucking Procreate from like some stupid independent studio. So like, what is Adobe doing? What are they doing? Who are they working for? It's not for me, and I've been using their products since Jump Street. Photoshop 1, the OG Photoshop. I have used that bullshit since day one. Day one. You're telling me you can't get your fucking icons straight. God damn it.
Okay?
I want to get well known enough so that I have somebody I could call at Adobe and just yell at them for like 5 hours. Just say, fix this, fix this, fix this. I will fly out there for fucking free and test drive their shit and tell them what's wrong with it, because I don't know.
Well, you know what? Fuck it. I'm reactivating my Twitter account just so that I can tweet at John Adobe, and we are gonna solve this problem post haste.
Steve Adobe. So Clip Studio, I'm using Clip Studio. I love Clip Studio. Use Clip Studio. Oh, I also use Sketchbook, but Sketchbook is just for like stupid quick sketches and shit like that. I've seen people do like really great concept art and those car renderings.
Yes.
That shit is great. I've seen people do a lot of that in Sketchbook Pro, and that's free. So if you want to try your hand at learning how to do like the Foos fade on a like classic Ford line art illustration, you could get that shit for free. Learn about that shit. Do all that shit. Learn all that shit.
So what I've learned is fuck Adobe. Sketchbook's pretty rad, and Clip Studio is where you need to be if you're really trying to make it.
Yeah, and it's
Okay.
It's affordable, and there are hella tutorials on their site.
Hella tutorials.
Hella tutorials, and half of them are useful.
Yep. Also, I'm hearing, based on a lot of the artists that I personally know having iPads, just buy the iPad version.
Yeah, and the iPad version is a subscription, but it's like $24 a year, which is
that's pretty reasonable, honestly.
It's less than your Netflix. It's worth it. It's worth it to have a brush engine that doesn't feel like you're drawing with loops, to have a gouache brush that works like you want a gouache brush to work, to have like, I mean, subscription is like, it's a commitment. But if you want to get into art, Procreate is nice.
Yeah, but ultimately paying $24 for software, whether they break it out over a year or not, BFD.
Yeah.
It's not that much a month. You can afford that. If you want to draw, use that and just decide that if you fall out of favor with it, okay, cool. Next year, I don't renew my subscription. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's all right.
It doesn't have that smart object thing where, like, in Procreate, if you draw a quick circle and hold down the pen, it'll like turn into a circle that you can adjust the thing.
Okay.
But Procreate does have something called vector layers. So if you ink a line on a vector layer, you can pull those points in afterwards. So that is
Wait, are you talking about Clip Studio or Procreate?
Oh, sorry, Clip Studio. Clip Studio, yeah.
Clip Studio has that. Okay.
So yes, Clip Studio, highly recommend, both on the iPad, on the desktop. At some point, I'm going to start doing more videos on my art channel, and I'll talk about all this shit on my art channel, because I don't fucking know. I don't know what I'm doing. So, Brandon Chalmers.
Sir.
Every week, since bullshit has happened, I've been trying to find positive stories that uplift, things that are going well in a society that is seemingly falling apart at the same.
Yeah.
So I have a list of laws that are going to go into effect tomorrow in the great state of Virginia. So to preface this, for years and years and years, Virginia has been like a red state, like red as red. And then over the past couple of years, because of Northern Virginia, it's been slowly being pulled purple. Like it was a surprise when Virginia went to Obama, but now and their districts were gerrymandered like hell. So like the state Senate, the state House, solid Republican. But over the years, they've been chipping away, and now Virginia is true blue. They got a Democratic governor, House and Senate, and these are some of the laws that are going into effect in our southern neighbor tomorrow. Well, we record this on Tuesday, so by the time this gets uploaded, these will have happened. But
okay, all right.
We have a list here. We have a list. Gun control, universal background checks.
Wow.
Red flag laws to temporarily take guns away from people deemed to be dangerous to themselves or others.
Seems reasonable.
1 handgun a month law reinstated. I'm not sure what that one is.
I'm assuming maybe you can only buy 1 handgun a month.
That sounds right.
I'm assuming that if you are a retailer or whatever it is, I'm sure there are other forms to get around that or whatever it is. But I'm assuming based on that, given my very limited understanding, as a private citizen, you're probably limited to purchase 1 a month.
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever. I got no skin in the game one way or the other with that. But go ahead.
Must report lost or stolen arms within a 48 hours or face civil penalty. That's pretty good.
Okay, fair enough. Don't if your gun goes missing, you should say something. Okay.
Yeah. Local government local government has more authority to ban arms in public spaces. So if they don't want you to walk around with an AK in the restaurant, they can ban that.
Okay, fair enough.
Tougher
All right,
penalty for
I don't know how. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
tougher penalty for storing arms in the way which may endanger children.
I don't see any issue with that. Go on.
And people with protective orders must turn over guns within 24 hours of receiving the PO. So,
Okay, I could see where that one's going to become problematic in a lot of ways, but that's not my thing to enforce. That's the job of the police.
yeah, they're doing something, which is more than they were doing before.
I got no skin in that fight one way or the other. So okay, right on. Yeah. Continue on.
LGBTQ plus rights, sexual orientation, gender identity are protected classes of discrimination. So
there it is.
That's great. Ban on conversion therapy. Duh.
Fucking good. Okay, continue.
Easier to change name and gender on birth certificate, which is great for the trans community. That's awesome.
And great for those of us who want to change our last names to Power.
Brandon Power.
I think you mean Maximilian Power.
Maximilian Power. Why, hello,
Max. That's right. Yep. My confirmation name is Turbo. I'll be Brandon Turbo Max Power.
VADOE, I think that's the Department of Education, must implement policies for treatment of trans students. So that's awesome. That's fucking awesome.
Okay, cool. I don't know any part of that one way or the other, so I'm unclear how that affects what or anything else like that. So yeah. I'm going to assume that's a positive thing, but I don't know one way or the other to speak confidently.
Yeah. Medical. Women seeking abortion no longer required to wait 24 hours, get an ultrasound, or receive counseling. And that was one of those laws that was put in place to make abortion more inconvenient and harder to get because you had to sit there and this was the best.
Yep.
By the way, sidebar: the Supreme Court struck down Louisiana's abortion law, which required clinics to have people on staff with admitting privileges at local hospitals, basically shutting down like Planned Parenthood because that's not what they do. Fucking Jesus Christ. Marijuana decriminalized, $25 civil penalty for possession. So that means there was some confusion on that, like if that meant for like current cases or past cases. So your records get sealed. They don't get expunged, but they get sealed. So like if you have previous convictions, they get sealed and stuff. Full legalization of medical marijuana.
Okay.
And insulin capped at $50 for 1 month supply. So that prevents the pharmaceutical industry
price gouging.
Yeah, price gouging. Fucking finally.
Yeah, God forbid we don't gouge diabetics.
This country wants you to die. Like they just America is a death cult. This country.
I ironically, speaking as an overweight guy myself, the survival of the fittest is not actually true. It's just survival.
Yeah, it's just survival. Yeah,
it's survival. TM.
Survive. Just make it. Just make it. Just fucking make it.
Yeah.
We're not going to help you. Fuck you. All right, let's go to voting and licensing.
Okay.
Driver's licenses cannot be suspended for non-payment of fines. I don't know what that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know enough about that one way or the other, but okay.
Yeah. Photo ID no longer required to vote. So you and I live in Maryland. We don't need a voter ID. Yeah, we don't need an ID to vote, which is great. You no longer need an excuse to vote absentee. You just request an absentee ballot. Before you had to come up with like a letter from your mom or your principal or your legal guardian or the doctor's office. Like, all right. So they're making it easier to vote by mail, which is great. In a fucking pandemic, every state should be doing this. You fucking idiots. Citizenship no longer required for in-state tuition. So that's great for like DACA dreamers and stuff.
Well, yeah. Also, people here on working visas and stuff like that who want to further their education while they're on working visas.
Yeah,
awesome. Good with that.
Easier for localities to remove Confederate monuments because why do we have statues of losers around our country? What the fuck is that about? Oh, it's about culture, not. No, fuck you. They lost. They lost bad. We beat the shit out of them. So go fuck yourself with that. And take your fucking loser flag down, you fuck. Virginia used to be lousy with Confederate flags. Finally, we got the
minimum. Used to be?
Yeah, used to be. Now they're coming.
Used to be.
Okay. They're coming.
Used to be.
Finally, we've got minimum wage stuff. May 2021, it'll increase to $9.50. July 1st, 2022, $11. 2023 we'll get $12. 2025 we'll get $13.50, and then 2026 we get $15 an hour. I think Maryland is at 15.
No, I don't believe they're there yet. I think they're on a plan similar to that.
Yeah, so it's a step up increase. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be enough, but it's something, because like,
no, it's a step in the right direction, and fortunately and unfortunately, incrementally is the only way that sort of thing is going to get passed. And I don't know if it's going to be enough to actually help everybody out or not.
Yeah, because like inflation,
there's a bunch of arguments. Yeah, inflation's going to go up, but I don't think it's going to go up that dramatically. But I think the question is going to be about, can small businesses take that sort of hit and what have you? I don't know. I assume that we'll all kind of pay a little bit more for things, and that'll be what it is. But that all comes back to, that also all comes back to people putting more money into small businesses and back into their local economy as opposed to ordering things off of Amazon.
Yeah.
So if when this thing passes, or if you have local shops, local restaurants, local this and that you're able to get carry out from, that you're able to pick up groceries from, and you have the ability to do it, and you're financially capable of doing so, and you're willing to put on your masks and go there, I would suggest doing so. Like, that's the only way that people like that are going to be able to afford paying some of these people more. I really hope that a lot of these businesses are paying people well over minimum wage anyway right now. But, it's one of those realities of, things are hard. Things are hard for a lot of people. So I'm excited about the increases and the thought process of where that is. I don't know enough about local Virginian economy and politics and businesses and what have you to be able to confidently speak one way or the other in that sense. But I assume the idea of a rising tide raising all ships applies to an economy.
I hope so.
So
I fucking hope so.
I'd like to believe so. So maybe instead of us complaining about a $15 minimum wage, maybe we just, I don't know, go beat Jeff Bezos with a stick and see how much money falls out of him.
God,
it's worked well for piñatas.
Yeah.
So,
like all of the, I don't know. I would like to think that if I was ever to acquire that much wealth, and if I looked around,
you wouldn't.
I saw shit happening, I would like to think that I would do something about it.
Yeah, but
I don't know.
Here's the thing. You wouldn't acquire that kind of wealth, Jamie, because you're an ethical person and you wouldn't be able to stand for that sort of thing. So therefore, you would never make that much money.
Yeah.
So you'd never actually be there. Now, you could be incredibly, ridiculously, Gates level financially well off, and you'd still be giving it back to a bunch of people because you're not that guy. So, and like I've said before, at the very least, Jeff Bezos has a lot of us paying for Prime, myself included, and they have a video channel. The very least they could be doing is using their exorbitant wealth to entertain the rest of us by having people compete for large amounts of cash. Fuck it. Let's really start digging into this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like,
I
let's start spending money the dumb way. Start giving away money the dumb way.
Do you want a dumb story? Do you want a dumb story that we can laugh at somebody?
Jesus Christ, do I need a dumb story right now? Yeah, because fucking Supreme Court about something else. So let's continue.
So the
still angry from earlier.
So the Open Maryland guy, there was a guy who organized a bunch of people in Maryland, state of Maryland, open up Maryland, because you don't have to worry about the coronavirus. You don't have to worry about a mask. You just open up the state. We need to get our economy going. Guess who got COVID?
Yeah.
He opened up his lungs and he let the COVID come in. Oh my It's not. It doesn't care. It doesn't care if you're a true blue-blooded American or whatever. It doesn't care if you want to like get a whole bunch of money. It doesn't care. It doesn't care. It will fucking get you. So yeah, and the worst part is like, well, they asked him if he would do like contact tracing and like help determine where he picked it up and all this stuff, and he was like, nah, fuck it. So it's just
Seuss, give it a rest, buddy.
Seuss is also like, what the fuck is that about?
I know. Jamie, in a less local version and a more national version, you did hear about the dumbness of Sammy Hagar, right?
Oh no! What did Panama do? What did Panama? What? Was he running with the devil?
Sam, in a way, or at least he's trying to, because Sammy Hagar wants to reopen the economy, and he's ready to get this thing going. So, he did an interview on May 8th with Rolling Stone, and he's since walked back comments about it, but basically he said, quote, "We have to save the world and this country from this economic thing that's going to kill more people in the long run. I'd rather see everyone go back to work. If some of us have to sacrifice on that, okay."
God damn it, Sammy.
Now, he's since walked it back.
Rock and roll is about fighting the power, fighting the man, not trying to hold up the man and his capitalism. Rock and roll is anti-establishment. It is not supposed to be working for the establishment.
Yeah, he's and he's walked it back since then, saying, I did this interview a month and a half ago, and things change. Let's see, yada 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 yada.
Stupid a month and a half ago.
Quote. So when I was asked if I'd be comfortable enough to get back on stage before a vaccine was out, I was cautiously optimistic. Turns out, Sammy Hagar. Here's the things we know about Sammy Hagar, right? Right? He can't drive 55. He's okay with some of us dying, and he needs it right now. He can't wait for tomorrow. It means everything right now.
Right now. Hey, fuck your ass.
Yeah.
Right
Jamie,
go
fucking Cabo Wabo is ready for us to get back. Yeah.
You can die if you're kid right now, motherfucker.
Like, I just...
You're dead. Don't. Jesus Christ,
I swear to God. Like, I never in my life thought that in the battle, in the epic, long-standing, multiple decades-long battle between Van Halen frontmen, that David Lee Roth would be the one who doesn't want us all to fucking die. Right, yeah.
Look, David Lee Roth wants to party with people who are alive.
Right. But Jamie, the guy who writes Jump is the more sound guy. Yeah.
That does not surprise me somehow. That does not surprise me. Cause
yeah. Anyway, so yes.
Fuck you, Sammy. Fuck you. It was wrong a month and a half ago. It was wrong in May. You dumb fuck. Fuck you.
Oh my God.
Fuck you, Sammy. You know better.
I love just the idea of him just looking at the bottom line numbers of Cabo Wabo Tequila and being like, we got to get back on stage, guys. Like, do you understand? I got a bass player to feed. Like, shit. I got a bass player to feed.
He plays acoustic, right? You know how much money
Sammy Hagar ain't playing shit. He ain't playing nothing.
He could have done a Zoom concert or a YouTube live or whatever.
He did. Well, it's on YouTube.
Well, there you go.
And he looks, and the rest of the band looks so fucking tired. Like, they want no part of this. And all I can think is the rest of them have heard him. Like, sorry, I should retract. Their guitar player looked real pumped, but their drummer looked like he was checked out hard.
Oh, man.
And their bass player looked like he was playing the most I swear to God, he was sitting on a cooler. And not like a Yeti cooler, like an older Coleman cooler. Like, he had been there for a while.
Yeah.
It was like, God damn it, Sammy, we're in a pandemic. Like, I'm allowed to do two things. Be somewhere else that you're not and fish off of my pier, and you're fucking up both of those. Like, seriously.
God.
And showed up, and like they did I swear it was an acoustic version of Right Now, and it was like they must have been so tired of hearing him like, guys are gonna use rap. It's gonna be like Wind of Change. We're gonna bring down this pandemic wall, and we're gonna do it right now. Come on. Like, I just anyway. Yeah, so
God damn it, Sammy.
Turns out, don't ask aging rockers what to do with an economy.
Yeah.
Like,
turns out they don't know.
Don't do it.
Turns out they
don't do it.
Turns out
No, I the thing is, I don't want to know if they know or not. Like, that's the whole thing. Like, I'm good with this. Like, there's consequences on both ends. Like, believe me.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I'm not saying they can't speak out. I'm not stifling anybody's creativity or anybody's ability to speak out for a thing that they believe in. But also, Jesus Christ, Sammy Hagar.
Read the room, you fuck. It's been a spicy cast. It's a spicy cast. So we could close it out, or we could talk about a conspiracy theory that's pretty in depth and pretty interesting, and not something that I made up, but it's really fun. Could be fun.
I'm in if you're in.
Do we dare? Okay, Brandon Chalmers.
I'm in if you're in. Yep, what you got? Lay it on me.
This comes from Twitter, so I will link this whole thread from one Michael Harriot, who is a writer, and I think he's an historian, I'm not sure. But his conspiracy theory is that the Golden Girls were actually members of an organized crime syndicate. Now, I've never watched the Golden Girls.
I have.
So Brandon Chalmers, can you give me a primer on the show? Can you tell me what it's about, the 100-foot view of, like, an overview of the show? What is it about? Why it's so beloved? Why people are into it? All this good stuff.
Okay, so to the best of my knowledge, it started to air in the late 80s and ran through the mid 90s. It was, I believe, 7 seasons. I know this because of the previous administration's obsession with this. However, I do not hold anything against the show. No, hey, it's okay. Show's good. So,
thank you for being
starring B. Arthur as Dorothy, the sassy one in the group. Her mom, Estelle Getty, who's actually younger than her, as Sophia, also starred in the Sylvester Stallone classic Stop or My Mom Will Shoot. Rue McClanahan, who is no longer with us, as the sultry and sexy Blanche Devereaux. And then Betty White, still alive, still kicking, America's sweetheart, Betty White, as Rose. Now, the idea is Rose is from, I'm testing my knowledge here, from St. Olaf, and weird, like, town in the middle of fucking nowhere.
Yes.
And the idea is
St.
she
Olaf,
was basically
Minnesota.
like,
yeah.
Minnesota. Thank you. Okay. All of this from memory, by the way. I don't have my Golden Girls notes up here, so I think I'm flying pretty high. Anyway,
you got it in depth, and I am impressed because I don't know shit about the show. So right
now, okay, so Blanche is the one with money. She's the saucy one, right? her husband ends up dying. She ends up actually owning the house. Rose is a friend, somehow ends up living with Blanche. Sophia, her husband cheats on her. She's got man troubles or whatever it is. She ends up living there, has her mom live there with her, basically. And the idea is these 4 women are living in Florida, near as I can tell, southern Florida. They are kind of combining their incomes and Social Security and whatnot to be able to survive together. And the idea is the camaraderie and their previous experience kind of clash together, but also they play off of each other in a very strong way to be able to create this very cohesive unit. What you end up getting is a lot of Betty White doing dumb jokes and a lot of B. Arthur doing really quippy humor. Sophia, played by Estelle Getty, being very fun and kind of playing off and singing in with one-liners. And then Blanche basically swinging in with multiple one-liners, but also taking the ire of B. Arthur. So it's a lot of quippy, back and forth, smart, sassy humor. And at the time, all predominantly for the 4 main cast members, all female, all elderly, or at least appearing to be more elderly than they actually are, was breaking demographics at the time. Now, I understand the idea of 4 old white ladies, not exactly setting the demographics on fire, but at the time, the idea of them trusting a sitcom to these women was definitely different and a bit groundbreaking. Yeah. Well written, a lot of fun. They dealt with things like poverty, like racism, like sexual harassment. They dealt with a lot of things, and usually the episodes would wrap up nicely, and occasionally they would wrap up around sharing a late night cheesecake together. And that was the idea. Is
I want a
near as I can tell, the cheesecake was kind of one of those, like, none of them really drank, but I'm convinced the cheesecake was like an allegory for power drinking.
Yeah. Let's get our cheesecake on.
Well, because it was always like one of them would like walk in the kitchen and the other one would just be sadly sitting by themselves in a well-lit kitchen, just slowly housing a cheesecake. And the other one would like grab a fork and then be like, so tell me about what's going on now. And then somebody goes, well, I was working and that man, I bent over and he pinched my bottom. And you're like, what? You pinched Betty White's ass, you asshole!
How dare?
And now B. Arthur is trying to coach up Betty White for being insecure and just accepting sexual harassment as part of the workplace because that's what she's experienced through her years of being in the workplace. And she doesn't want to lose a good job over this. And B. Arthur's like, fuck that noise. We'll support you. You don't have to take that shit. Stand up. And just tell him, this is not okay. This cannot happen again. And ultimately, she ended up basically being confronted and basically told, you can walk if you don't like how you're being treated here. And she said, fine. And she left. And the idea is, fuck it, you don't have to stay at a place that you're being sexually harassed. Awesome.
Yeah.
Like the idea that they're tackling that shit in 1990, and Betty White is the one who has to be the strong one, and basically B. Arthur standing at the doorway going, yeah, that's right, and fuck you too. Not actually saying that, but basically like quipping this old asshole with one-liners on the way out is really, really great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the premise of Golden Girls, the whole roundabout it, and they get into some weird shit. They get into UFOs and all sorts of stuff. Yeah, one of them's convinced that they saw a UFO, and then they end up seeing lights or whatever it is, and like they get into some old lady shit. Yeah. So bear that in mind. But
yeah, I never got into it because all of the sitcoms in the 80s were just about a whole bunch of white people, and I was just like,
no, I get it. Honestly, Jamie, the only reason I got into it initially was because the sad short story of my lazy dad going out and wanting to go party with his friends and basically letting Nick at Night watch me late into the wee hours. You know, like, lock the door behind me. Here's a pizza. You're 12. You're fine. Don't burn anything down. Don't use the stove. Watch whatever the fuck you want. Yeah. You know, I don't have any access to porn at the time, whatever it is. I can't really get into anything. I'm going to play video games. I'm going to eat way too much. And I'm going to watch terrible TV. Yeah. So I settle into bed or I settle up on the couch. I'm flipping through channels. And Nick at Night has got like 6 episodes of the Golden Girls, just one after the other, rapid fire. And you scroll past it once and you hear B. Arthur kind of hit another one with a quip or whatever it is. And you kind of half chuckle, and then you take a skim around the channels again, and you're like, fuck it, I'll put this on. And I end up sitting there, and it became almost a ritual as a way to like, it's Friday night, it's Saturday night, I'm kind of getting tired, I don't want to go do anything, I don't want to get into anything, fuck it, I'll put on Golden Girls. And that ended up kind of being a thing, whether I would travel or what have you, it always seemed to be on late night TV. And because it's consistently kind of funny and rather clean, and I can pick up on it whenever, and each episode is its own little like self-contained thing, cool. Like, it was an easy thing for me to digest. So that's why I ended up getting into it. I totally understand, though, the idea of like you looking at this going, this is some white people shit. You are not wrong. It is some white people shit.
Yeah. Well, there are a bunch of people that we know who love the show. Like,
I totally understand. And honestly, if we wanted to erect a statue of B. Arthur where Robert E. Lee is, the Golden Girls both lasted longer than the Confederacy, also more influential in American culture. So, that's fine.
Sure. I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah.
So, let's get into this. I'm gonna try to skim over it. And then we can discuss all the points. So they moved, the show debuted in 1985, right at the beginning of the crack cocaine epidemic. They moved to Florida to push that weight. So the muscle of the organization was Rose. We'll call her Ruthless Rose Nyland. Rose acted all innocent and sweet, but she wasn't as dumb as she pretended. She claimed her husband died, but anyone with two eyes can see that she killed her husband for the insurance money.
I'm okay with that. Like, drugs or not, I'm okay with Rose killing her husband.
Yeah,
let's just move forward.
Okay. So she moves to Florida, and meets Blanche, the Butcher Devereaux, whose family made their money in the sex trade and dope game, and our friend. Michael Hart, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Harriet, points to the fact that Blanche's dad was a pimp because he dressed like a pimp, he had the hat, and he even talked like a pimp. So
fair enough. I think he might be taking a bit of a stretch of a grown woman calling her daddy, or my daddy. I think it might just be some dumb Southern shit, but
maybe
right on. That's fine. I seem to remember him not dressing like a pimp, but more him dressing like either Ricardo Montalban from Fantasy Island or Colonel Sanders, and I might be projecting both of those.
So there's a clip of the daddy right here, and he is dressed like Colonel Sanders, but apparently that's like white pimp uniform. Apparently, they said he owned a plantation outside of ATL where Blanche grew up, but it sounds like they were selling and growing more than that.
If Blanche is one of the 26 urban spices from that original recipe, I'm here for it.
Yeah. And so let's see. Blanche was an art dealer. Which made it easy for her to scrub money to like, what do you
so we're laundering money through art sales,
through expensive art sales. So like, she could move the money around. She was the money girl. It's the perfect cover. It says, first of all, people in Florida ain't buying art like that unless it's velvet. Secondly, it's a known fact that 72% of art dealers belong to a cartel.
Okay, I got no fight there.
They needed someone to handle the day-to-day business, so that's where we entered Dangerous Dorothy Zumack.
Okay, yeah.
She taught in the
former
inner city.
School teacher.
Yeah, she taught in the inner city in the 70s, so she spoke Spanish. Plus, her voice was so deep, the Colombian probably thought Luther Vandross or James Earl Jones was on the phone when she called them, so she was making the deals.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
So if you need respect in a distribution network, you need to know that you have to have someone who will not fuck with you. And that's where Sophia Shilkilia Pertillo comes in. She's Sicilian. Right. She talked mad shit. Plus, have y'all wondered why her nursing home burned down right when everyone moved in?
Yes. No, I get it. And I'm assuming they mention in their picture at Sicily, which is how Sophia would mention and tell stories of the old country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So don't forget, Golden Girls debuted 1 year after Miami Vice. So while Crockett and Tubbs were locking people up, the Golden Girls were quietly running an international drug ring. And then here's the final. This is the final clue, according to our friend Michael. Do you know how much money a person must have to assure people that if they threw a party and invited everyone they knew, they'd still be sure that the biggest gift would be from them? They even know what the card attached would say, but notice they never say what's inside the gift. Cocaine. Pure cocaine. And then he ends his rant with, "Thank you for being a friend." Now, I haven't seen the show, so this all sounds plausible to me, just with like the year it took place and the circumstances set up and like the whole the language stuff and like the art dealer. But again, these are worlds that I am unfamiliar with. Like, I don't know shit about art dealers, and I don't know shit about the Golden Girls.
Yeah, trying to think of the best way to put this. So Blanche's whole thing, totally plausible.
Yeah.
Right? So the idea of old Southern money being wrapped up in something terrible, I just assume that's true.
Yeah, for sure.
I'd like to not assume the worst, but the very least some of that has got to be terrible behavior. Okay, yeah. So let's assume Blanche's money is dirty at best. Yeah. The art deal, yeah, I don't know. They never really mentioned, to the best of my understanding, I don't believe they're actually in Miami. So it's a possibility that they could be, and she could be moving art that way, and that makes a lot of sense, and you could keep the money in and out of there. All of these things make sense. Now, if St. Olaf is actually a snowy place, if I may, this would make a lot of sense. I'm here for this.
Yeah.
Dorothy running numbers makes a lot of sense, and her being the no-nonsense lady makes a ton of sense. Really, the problem that I see on there is Sophia, because I've seen Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
So you don't think she's the muscle?
I don't think she's the muscle. No, I don't. If anything, I would argue that she is actually the brains behind it.
Yeah.
Like, it's the old adage back and forth with the two of them. You want to know how brutal Sophia is? She basically tells Dorothy, right? They're going through a time and a rough time and everything else like that, and she's like, through all the pain that I went through in having you, I wouldn't give it up for anything in the world. And I wouldn't give you up. And and her mom, like, she looks at her mom, she goes, "And I didn't disappoint you?" And she looks at her stone face and goes, "A little." And we're all just supposed to be like, God damn, that's brutal. And that's the sort of shit you need to run a drug cartel.
Yeah, she sounds like she would be the kingpin. And I think
yeah, like
I think
yeah, like
she would hire the muscle. Like, she wouldn't want to touch any of it.
Well, no. The idea that the only one that she can trust is B. Arthur as her daughter to be the muscle, the support, the everything. Like, I'm talking like we're getting into a like it's a sunny sort of Godfather vibe here. Like he's strong enough to lead, but not quite like even keeled enough to take charge of a situation.
Yeah.
So it's why every time something goes awry, Dorothy's there standing at the doorway, just like I talked about, where Rose is getting sexually harassed and Dorothy's there standing right there. Now, whether I don't see off to the side, she's got like a machete tucked into that little like, well, no, like that old lady sweater that they got going on, like the third grade teacher nanny sweater.
Yeah,
if she's got a blade tucked in there, where like the guy's like, fine, why don't you leave then? Yes, respectfully. with severance pay. That's what you're going to do, and I'm going to throw myself out of this window over here.
And a pension,
Thumbs up.
a fully raised pension.
Right? Yeah. So like, these things make sense. I think he's off a little bit, and I think he's a little too tongue in cheek this way.
Yeah.
But it not the most believable television thought process that I've ever heard. I would counter with the very short version of, you've heard the story about the Fresh Prince, right?
Oh, that he's dead?
Yeah, that he's actually dead the entire time, and he dies in that first fight in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
That total sense.
Yeah. Because his mom only comes on holidays and all that stuff.
Well, both of his parents only visit on holidays. Yeah, it's this very sad sort of wrapping everything up in half an hour and what have you. And so I totally could understand that.
I've never watched the show. I wonder if going back and watching the show now with this thought that they're a fucking drug cartel in the back of my head would add meaning to it and make me laugh harder at some of the shit.
No, I don't think so. Honestly, like they never really reference it that way. I would literally, like, one of the drinking games that we used to have to the Golden Girls, right, was basically you get a bunch of people, and if you can give 4 people, it's the best, where essentially anytime one of them zings the other one, you take a drink. And the idea is you could get so fucked up just by having the 4 of them in the room, just fucking trading fucking paint back and forth. Yeah, that you could get fucking drunk, 4 people. And then what you do is you would either spin the wheel again, or everybody would rotate a Golden Girl one to the left.
Oh, nice.
With the next episode. And if they ended with sharing a cheesecake, the people eating the cheesecake, you had to kill your drink.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Simplest goddamn episode. Yeah. Like, so I would highly suggest, if anyone is curious, you know what actually the Golden Girls is really great for? It's a sitcom that is totally safe to have around kids.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So if you see it on, you can totally trust it that way. It's nice. Good to go. Don't have to worry about a damn thing. Don't let the kids watch Mama's Family for a whole other reason.
Yeah, Jesus.
And if you haven't gone down that rabbit hole, Jamie, that is some white shit.
Yeah.
Ironically, though, I think still lasted longer than the Confederacy and still would probably deserve a statue more.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Fucking idiots. Fucking lost. Like, why do you... Hey, we lost. You get a participation trophy. A big participation trophy in the center of your fucking town. How does that make any sense? How does that make any sense? You lost. You fucking lost. Fucking losers.
Yeah, but I mean, what about that big statue of Cornwallis in D.C., right? What about that?
I don't give a shit.
There is no statue of Cornwallis in D.C. We fucking kicked his British ass and sent him packing. That's why we don't fucking hang a statue of his bitch-ass second place fucking Union Jack waving motherfuckers.
Exactly.
God damn it. I like the British. Anyway. Yeah.
Well.
We like an underdog story, Jamie. We like an underdog story.
I guess. I don't like a racist underdog, but,
Oh, America loves an underdog story, Jamie. Look, I'm sure that somewhere along the way, somebody will end up doing one of those feel-good action or feel-good sports movies where a bunch of Southern guys will end up calling themselves like the Rebels, and they'll end up going out and taking out the big tough team from New York City.
New York City!
Yes, just like a fucking Pace Picante ad. Yeah. You know what? As I say it, I'm 100% convinced there's a goddamn movie about it right now out.
Or a 100%. A script out there that's being shopped around.
100%. Yes.
Those fucking Benioff and Weiss assholes were going to do a Confederacy thing for HBO. That was going to be a thing.
Okay. Sure.
Fucking. Anyway, so that's our conspiracy corner. Did you enjoy the funny TV conspiracy that I didn't have to explain Kamen Rider to you for?
Yeah, the idea of me explaining a television show to you ad nauseum was a nice change of pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, not bad. Weird as hell. You're not wrong there.
Yeah.
I can't really buy into it too much. I don't think it has, has a whole lot of legs, but I'm here for the concept.
Yeah. I'll link to it in the show notes.
Anytime-
You can read it, so everyone can read it, and you can check it out and all that kind of stuff. Because I just skimmed it, so there might be more information.
Yeah, anytime we want to turn Betty White into a cocaine power broker, I'm here for that. Like, even now. Genuinely. Like, doesn't even have to be a sitcom or a movie. Though, admittedly, if we come to find out that the Fast and Furious movies were actually all about drug running and it's all run by fucking Betty White, I'm here for all of that. Yeah.
That's a better conspiracy.
It's a way better conspiracy. Yeah, like if we find out at the end, like Vin Diesel kicks the door down or whatever it is, and it's Betty White holding like some sort of weird biovirus up to like the side, up to like the neck of Vin Diesel's son Brian, but Brian's like 4 or 5 years old at this point, so we're gonna find out who the new most hated kid is. Move over, kid who ended up playing Anakin Skywalker, because this kid's about to get fucking murdered by Betty White with a bioweapon.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, you know what? That's what I'm gonna do, Jamie. I'm gonna spend my time just fantasy writing the next movie. We're gonna find out that's actually what it is. And fun sidetrack. Also, she's a Toretto. She's the grandmother of Vin and John Diesel.
He's the original Toretto.
John Cena. Yes.
Yeah. Oh my God.
The original Toretto.
He's the OG Toretto.
The OG Toretto. Yes.
She had to change her name because of to escape that life, but it pulled her back in. Oh, I love it. I love it.
Exactly.
Brandon, if you write the fanfic, I will draw hero images for it.
I am here for all of this, where they end up going on like Ancestry.com or something like that.
Yeah.
And you just see like the centralized question mark of somebody with that name and just an old photo of Betty White from like the 40s or something like that. And just, you see Vin Diesel look at his phone and John Cena look at his phone and look up at Betty White and her go, yeah, that's right. I'm a Toretto.
Why did you say Martha?
Shit.
And her name is Martha. It has to be Martha.
Yeah. And she just looks at the two of them and is like, family, and then injects the kid and throws him out of a fucking plane.
You need
John
to write
Cena punches Betty White in the face. Vin Diesel just drives a car just right off the side of like a 747.
Yeah.
Just no question. Vin Diesel's somehow going to catch his son, dismantle the virus, and land the car on what I can only describe as a defunct Hot Wheels test track, where it just like it curves in. So he ends up landing at speed. Yeah, and uses like the rotation of the car to land and then like ride out and slide it out.
Yeah, like the initial D, like.
Oh yeah, 100% like initial D. Yeah.
God damn. You need to write that, and I'll draw hero images, and we'll pitch it. We'll just stick it up. So, friend of the show, Zara, has been writing Raylo fanfic about them, like as a chef couple. So I've been drawing like stupid images for just to practice drawing in Clip Studio. So we could do this. We could totally do this.
That's really sweet. Look at you drawing not Nazi fan art. All right. That's.
So we could do this. You give me some scenes, and I'll draw like stupid sketches of it. We'll post it on the internet. We'll make $1 million. We'll pitch it. It'll be great.
I'm here for this idea.
Oh Jesus Christ, Brandon Chalmers, where can people find you? Holy shit, motherfucker!
You can find me writing Fast and Furious fanfic on Instagram at that guy Chalmers. Jamie Noguchi, where can they find you?
Instagram, Jamie Noguchi here. Wherever you found this podcast, Twitter, Angry Zen Master, where I post art and I post politics. It's like art and politics. It's a very weird feed. I hate this. I hate this. Look at this drawing I made. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this.
Which, ironically, is basically what the podcast was.
Yeah.
You can find a Seuss also on my Instagram feed.
Oh, Seuss. Seuss makes everything better.
Yeah, big dog's always a lot of fun.
Big dog.
Jamie Noguchi, I assume it's going to be at the top and the bottom, but I remind everyone, again, Black Lives Matter, Black Trans Lives Matter. Happy Pride Month, y'all. Make sure to go out and support. And please, as a reminder to you, please do your research before you buy merchandise from retailers supporting things, and make sure that they are legitimate and not just trying to grab for a bit of a cash grab given what's popular. Seriously, support small business. Try and go to Etsy. Try and at least do your due diligence. If you're going to support a large company, make sure that you know what they stand for.
Yeah.
Bye, kids. Be excellent to each other.
Party on, dude. They're making a new movie.
Why is it you and...
I have to do it.
Yeah, I know, but like you can't end it. Like I can't do that, and then you go and do some whiter shit than I've done all show. Like, I wish I knew a Pat Boone tune to like fucking hum so that I could try and make...
Boom boom.
Oh God, I forgot he did that shit.
Yep.
Please end this. Oh
yeah. All right,
God.
We're done. When we pull out the Pat Boone,
when Pat Boone comes out, that's it. We're done.
It's done. All right, it's done. It's done.